Hey guys, welcome back. You guys might recognize this PC here. This is one of the ones that came with a bunch of trash ones that somebody dropped off here. It's a Compaq Presario 5155. That was pretty grungy looking, but it actually worked. So went through a lot, got everything cleaned up and working on it. And as you can see, we're running a screensaver for Windows 98 right now. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at what it took to get here, and then we'll go through and take a closer look at the PC. Alright, so we got our VGA hooked up still, mouse and keyboard this time, and our power. So we're going to go ahead and push the power button on here. Listen to this 5 1/4 inch quantum Bigfoot spin up. And we're loading Windows 98. Okay, interesting username. Don't know if there's a password on here or not. Okay, apparently there's no password. There we go. Looks like a pretty clean, fresh install of Windows 98. Windows 98 SE. AMD K6 3D. I have to look and see what processor that is. 128 megabytes of RAM. Alright, well now that I know everything works on it, aside from, I haven't tested the floppy or the zip drive yet, or actually I haven't even tested the optical drive, but I don't think I'm going to do much more until I get this thing completely disassembled and clean. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to get this thing completely disassembled. We'll get everything out of here. We'll get everything nice and clean, put it back together, and then we can really check it out. Alright, we're pretty well stripped down now. You can see there's our 5 1/4 inch hard drive, floppy drive, zip drive, CD-ROM set aside. Here's the empty case that needs to be thoroughly scrubbed. Interesting I/O shield on the back here. That thing is as long as the case almost. And here's our motherboard. VIA chipset, 3 RAM slots here, but unfortunately it looks like the clip is missing off the one here. But yeah, there's 3 RAM slots. We got ATI Rage LT Pro graphics chip on it, and I'm not sure how much memory this is on board, but you could also increase the memory here, which this is not populated, so I imagine the amount of memory is probably extremely low on there. Yeah, that's a quick look at the board. Let's see what we've got here for CPU. Alright, K6-2 350. Alright, so the first device I decided to work on after all the other parts were cleaned was the floppy drive here. And it's just a 1.44 meg floppy drive, and there's a bit of dust inside, so that's all cleaned out. The heads are cleaned, and this spring right here was kind of like popped up and wasn't doing anything. I wasn't sure what it was for until I started putting a disc in, and you can see how this plastic arm right here will actually move. And what it does is it contacts the metal that covers up the end of the floppy there, that covers up the actual disc inside. And it just slides that over. Well, that wasn't working, so I had to figure out how to finagle that spring on there, and it doesn't look quite right. I mean, it doesn't look like there's anywhere that this can, that you can hook this end to keep it there, but it's working now, and I think with the cover on, it sits like that, but it still works. So it is what it is, and it seems to be working now, so that's a good thing. So yep, on to the next part. Alright, never taken a zip drive apart before, but here we are on the inside. I got the cover off, and all I'm going to do on this basically is just clean the dust out with a Q-tip and some cleaner. Because you see there's quite a bit of dust buildup in there, but I'm not going to go through and disassemble more of this than I have to here, which I don't believe I have to disassemble really anything on it. Just, I mean, most of the exterior was spotless on it. It's just when you get on the inside, you can see the dust that got sucked in. So we're going to work on cleaning that out, and then we'll move on to the next part. Alright, pull the optical drive apart, and as you can see, the outside is pretty dirty on it. You can see this is the original Compaq drive from October '98. And inside here actually is way cleaner. There's a little bit of dust, so I'm going to clean that out. But alright, we'll get this cleaned up back together and on to the next part. Here's a quick look inside the power supply. Now I know the power supply works, but I can't tell the state of anything in here really because of all this dust that's on everything. So I gotta get this blown out really good, and then we'll get it cleaned up and we'll take a look at it and see how it really looks. Alright, power supply cleaned up quite nicely, and we got everything dusted, blown, and vacuumed out of there. Took the fan out, got that all cleaned up, and just we know it works, but the fuck is up with my focus here? Alright, we know it works, and you can look visually for some clues that something may happen. Like some of these capacitors here maybe bulged or leaking. These actually all look really good. We've got the motherboard all dusted off, and we're about to lube up our K6-2 350. And I do like the fact that this motherboard is on a tray here, and it just pops right in and out. I mean, that's something that's very convenient, especially for the time. I mean, I think you've seen it more back then than you do now. But looking at all the capacitors on this motherboard, they all look really good. The battery, I tested the battery on. I was just going to replace it, and that's still at 3.03 volts. So even that is good. Yeah, everything on here just looks pretty fantastic, except for this broken clip right there. So that's kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. I mean, this thing is from 1998, so I'm sure it took a little bit of a, little beating in its life, but it doesn't look too bad. Alright, so let's get some shmoo on our CPU and get the heatsink on and the memory in and get this thing ready to install back in the case. Alright, we're off to a good start here. Motherboard's in. Got a couple little doohickeys here and on the front hooked up. And now we just got to get our drives in, power supply, and get it all wrapped up. So we'll come back and check in on it when it's finished. You see we got our CRT monitor hooked up to it. PS2 keyboard, mouse, speakers, and the power. So now, we'll hit the power button. And I did add more RAM to it. I'm not quite sure exactly how much I added to this. I think there was a 128 meg stick, and added 2 more sticks, and they maybe 128, 64, 64. I'm not sure, but it was the only PC100 SDRAM that I had, so I just threw it all in here. Okay, so 256 megs of PC100 SDRAM now. Alright, we're able to load Windows, so I'm going to shut this down. We'll get some drivers installed, because I know it's lacking some drivers, and then we'll come back and take a look at it. Alright, I'm not sure how well this is coming through on the CRT here, but as you see, we're running Windows 98 2nd edition. We have AMD K6-2 350 with 3D Now and 256 megabytes of RAM. The front may look a little different here. The original optical drive, which I've got right here, I couldn't get that to work. You know, even after taking it apart and cleaning it, I couldn't get it to work. So I did find another CDR that I popped in there. It's black, but it's one of the few remaining IDE ones I had that actually works. The zip drive works. The floppy drive did work. I got the part that opens the cover of the actual disk inside to work, and it read a floppy disk a couple times, and now I can't get it to read again. So I'm gonna have to either take that apart and see what's up with that and try to fix that, or I'm gonna have to just replace it. You can see the little cool smoked plastic hidden door here that hides a couple of USB ports and the game port on the front, which is kind of cool. So let me go ahead and get this shut down. We'll just take a look around the rest of the PC. Since we're going to go over the condition of the case, the first thing I need to point out is the front door is obviously missing on it. That covered up I mean, I think it had like an opening for the disc, but pretty much covered this, and you had to open it up to access it. I don't recall exactly what the door looks like on these, but it's missing on this one irregardless. And if you take a look at the side here, I mean, you can see it's got a couple little scuffs on it, but it's actually overall in really good shape, as well as the top. I mean, there's no dents on it or anything. Same thing with the other side. There's one mark on it right here. But yeah, this thing is just really in excellent condition. This is definitely a treasure, I think, out of that group that was dropped off. Alright, so taking a look at the back here, you see you got just some ventilation up here. Start off with your VGA port. This does have onboard video. It's ATI Rage LT Pro, and I believe it's got either 2 or 4 megabytes of onboard video RAM, but there is there's a slot where you can add additional RAM to it. I believe it takes a PC100 SODIMM. This right here, I'm not even sure what that is. I can't recall for the life of me what the hell that connector there is. And then you've got your parallel printer port, Ethernet, PS2 keyboard and mouse. You got your audio connectors. There's no USB ports on the back here, but there is some on the front. And then you've got a serial connector right here. Power supply sits right here. And there's a modem installed. And there's a PCI, an ISA, and then a combo PCI and ISA slot. Like I said before, no VGA slot on this computer at all. But even the back is just in really good condition as well. So yeah, with the exception of the door missing, this is an excellent machine. This thing is in incredibly good shape for PC built in 1998. So let's go ahead and turn it on. And in a minute, you'll hear that 2 GB Quantum Bigfoot start making some racket. There it goes. You see the hard drive light flickering here. And there's that lovely Windows 98 tone. Your standby light, hard drive activity, and your power light. And you see we're running 1280 by 1024 on the CRT. So yeah, this one was actually a nice little treasure in that pile of junk. Cleaned up very well. So I hope you guys found this interesting. I hope you guys are all staying safe under this quarantine or lockdown, or in our case, it's a lockdown, a tyrannical lockdown. But anyways, all you guys use common sense, stay safe out there, and we will see you on the next one.